Tell us a little bit about your project.
So we're doing a project, a lakeside retreat for, we're basically a custom home builder, and it's a relatively higher end project for residential than normal. And actually, my coworker Austin's the one that internet searched looking for panels, and your panels popped up, the BAUCO, and it solved part of the problem because they're extremely nice finish, and we are using blue board and plaster, which is not a normal thing in the industry. There's mostly drywall is done, but the Northeast and parts of it have blue board and plaster. So these plastered nice, and they give a nice look when we're done. And the architect immediately fell in love with them and approved them immediately. And then that's how we ended up adding them into our project. There hadn't been anything spec'd because on custom homes, they do more of a architect compatibility with the contractor, suggesting products and stuff that's along the way. So we give them feedback on things that are required, and they were looking for a higher end resolution to these access panels because, let's face it, nobody really wants an access panel in anything that's a nice finished product. And then if you do, they wanted the nicest, cleanest, slimline product that we could find, and this one fit the bill.
What made this project interesting, unusual, or challenging?
It's a very large project. There's 4 buildings. I can't really disclose much about them because our clients are very private. But it's a retreat. It has it's extensively large. I think altogether we're somewhere under 30,000 square feet of build out of 4 buildings. And some of them, there's a guest house, there's a party house, there's a barn / rec center, and then there's the primary lodge. But the primary lodge is even split into a family wing and a primary suite for the owners. And then there's a main lodge entry area in the center for large gatherings, large living room, dining room, family room kind of project. And it still has guest game rooms and stuff downstairs. So it has a lot of equipment. It's a very large facility, and there's a considerable amount. I want to say we bought in excess of 35, probably close to 40 access panels total. I know we just got the 6 wall panels in a little while ago. So there's a lot of high end mechanical stuff that's above ceilings that needs to be able to be serviced. So these worked out real well for that. We've got nice 24-inch, which makes it easy to get to service equipment. And yet these things are so clean in the plaster, you hardly notice them. So that's part of the whole project, kind of the envelope of the whole thing.
How did you choose BAUCO for your access panels?
So both of us are pretty adept in the construction business. I've been in it quite a number of years, and so has Austin. And so we've normally used a lot of access panels, especially in the commercial work that we've done. And we know the cut and dry ones that you get all day long that are flange mount. And we weren't looking for that product. We were looking for one that would be more integral into the ceiling and more streamlined. And of course, with the plaster, you have a little bit better durability versus drywall. So we've used the tape-in ones for drywall, but they typically tend to want to crack and break around them. And one of the unique features that we found when we looked at this product and why it got selected was that it's oversized and set in the back part of the drywall, so that even if it was taped in, it's still going to perform better than the ones that are typically taped in that have an expanded metal edge. And what happens is, a lot of times, both from Austin and I's experience, when you do that, it only takes about 2 or 3 years worth of service, maybe even just one time, opening the access panel and having it slam back or closed hard. And next thing you know, you got drywall cracking and you've got recall and things like that. Well, with these panels, one of the things that we found unique was that the way they mounted in kind of eliminated a lot of that question or probable cause that would give us maintenance or warranty work that we would have to do. So that was one of the features that we put into it. That was why we pre-selected it as our team and made a recommendation to the architect. And of course, the architect looked at it and said, I understand it does have a lot of features that we're looking for, not only being streamlined, but also you can see the benefit of the design giving us a better warranty factor with less recall.
Was there any customization required?
Yeah, we actually we picked a lot of stock sizes for the ceiling access because for the most part it was consistent. But we did buy 6 custom wall ones that were to be put in front of HVAC that, unbeknownst to us, both of us came into the project latter part, but some of the framing had already been done. So commitments to odd inches like 29 and 5/8 versus 30 and a half or those things. And one of the great things when I worked with the agent that we talked to, they're all customized and everything can be customized, and the turnaround time was relatively quick. So that solved a lot of problems because I don't want to go back in and tear something apart and have to rebuild it just to get the access panel in. So that was another feature that we found that was very conducive to our build. It helped fix some of our problems without having to go backwards.
Were there any access panels needed for the project that BAUCO was not able to supply?
Currently, the only ones, and we could understand it, we had to order a couple of fire rated ones that were for the garage area, which wasn't needed to be quite such high end. So they didn't have a fire rated panel, and we ended up buying altogether. I think we had to have 3. We had 2 for one garage and 1 for the other garage. But that was the only drawback, that they didn't have a 1 hour rated fire access panel. But that's the only thing. Other than that, whatever we needed, they were able to facilitate. When I talked with Tyson, he said, I can get you these at 11 and a half by 11 and a half or 10 and a half by 10 and a half or stock 12 by 12s, or, the total customization was a nice option to have. Although for ceilings, like I said, the standard stock size worked really well. So we went with call outs of the typical 12 by 12, 24 by 24, and the 18 by 18s. But the wall mount ones, we ordered 6 of those that were exactly, I sent him the ROs and they were built to fit in that RO and still be streamlined.
Did you order paint-ready panels or finish them yourselves?
These were all finished because we plastered them alike the ceiling. So they actually have a small, thin brown set coat with a white coat of smooth plaster put on them. So when you drop them in, you see about that much distance between my 2 fingers around, very clean and sleek in the ceiling. So they were all plastered in, and they took the actual panel and set it down and plastered that off. And then it's being painted by my painter to match.
Did they arrive on time?
I got an email that they were sent out yesterday, and I'm expecting on Monday. I got a FedEx tracking number that says they're already en route. And the same thing happened last time. FedEx brought them in, and I don't think from east to or west to east coast took more than seven calendar days and maybe 5 working days.
Were you satisfied with the price of the access panels?
Yeah, I found them to be quite reasonable, actually. I mean, a lot of panels are kind of pricey, but we did not find these to be any more costly than to some of them to affect, even a little under what some of the metal panels that you have, we've bought in this industry. I mean, it's not uncommon for these, 18 by 18 access panels run $200-300 all day long. And I didn't find any of their product to be any more or less than that line. The 12 by 12s I just ordered, I think I got 2 of them for $180 shipped. So that's very reasonable price. I mean, and the quality. I mean, you can go to the outlets, the box stores and get things but they're usually just little plastic spring clamps, and those things are $30-40. So it's, they're very price point acceptable.
Were your BAUCO contacts able to give you as much help as you needed?
Yeah. When I finally realized that we over ordered a couple because we just know there's always getting added. So we had 2 of each size extra, and then I ran out and I needed 2 more 12 by 12s. And I dropped the email. He was out that day. I got an immediate response that he was out. Somebody else jumped on, said, what are you looking for? I told them that. They sent me back the quote. I want to say everything happened within, I want to say, a day and a half to 2 days max. From when I decided I needed more to them getting a price and me sending them a credit card and setting it up and paying was, I think, a total of 3 days transaction. So that's really quick. I mean, that's me sending it out in the afternoon, getting an immediate response, and then getting a text back. What do you need? Same criteria. They want to verify, which is good. They want to say, what are you doing with it? So back in the same 5/8, same application, same ceiling install, blah, blah, blah. Just want to make sure, send me a quote. I saw the quote, and then it took me a day to pay it online just because sometimes I'm busy. So, I mean, I probably could have had it done in less than a 2-day span if I really wanted it. But then produced them. I think that went out on the 3rd. I signed it on the 4th, and they shipped them on the 10th, and then due here on the 15th. So, all in all, I mean, in this industry after COVID, I think that's almost in time delivery.
Who installed your BAUCO panels?
Actually, our plaster, he hung the board and plasters 2-coat plaster. So we roughed them in the metal framing. Most of my ceilings were metal Chicago grid. And so all we had to do is go up there and make sure I had a 26.5 by 26 for a 24-inch access. They pull the screw out, zip them into where they go, and he cuts them in, and then he takes them apart and tapes the edges of it and plastered them in place, except for the door. Takes the doors off, plasters those, and puts them back in. So he was, one-stop subcontractor done. And the painting, just they stay in place. You paint right through them.
Did you receive adequate instruction and support from BAUCO?
We did. And as soon as we made primary contact with them and sent the quote over for our purchasing agent to get a hold of them, they sent cut sheets or downloaded them and sent them to me. They were very easy to understand, and we were able to go ahead and start pre-framing the openings and getting them going. Even though we hadn't got product commitment of buying them yet, it wasn't, I wasn't that worried about it. But that was more, I haven't had to fix any of them. The call outs were exactly what I needed to know, and they fit easily in place.
How would you rank BAUCO compared to their competition?
Hands down, if I didn't have to buy them from anywhere else, I'd buy them again from them all day long. I mean, it's just not that hard. They don't take that long to deliver. I found them to be as easily purchased as anything I could get from some of my other suppliers here on the East Coast. We have like Camco or Granger or like that. Those guys all handle different product lines. Sure, they're cookie cut. You're getting a 12 by 12, or I had a couple of desires at one point that I would have liked to had a 12 by 22, and you don't get that access panel. Luckily, I was able to move around them and we went back to normal ones. I ended up just going to 24 by 24, but knowing that I could got back to the BAUCO and bought those, that gave me a little level of comfort. And I think the quality is reasonable for what little wait time you have, with the versatility of getting exactly what you need. So having that customization was a big feature, especially when we went to the wall panels, because we had some HVAC equipment that had to be certain size, and you're just trying to get, architects want them to be as minimalist as they can. They want you to stick your hand through a little hole to be able to access, and we know we have to have enough room to service and take filters and stuff like that out. So, but having that comfort level of knowing that if I really needed to go back to something odd, like 11 by 29, I could send that out and get it, was a big feature. So again, the customization, I think the real-time delivery and quote and production, I find all that to be, for that feature being custom, very reasonable time frame. Even to the effect of like getting these, I'm sure the 12 by 12s, I think for the most part, they build most of this stuff real time, but I don't know if they run their equipment, and didn't ask because the delivery date was so quick. I didn't really need to know. So I didn't know if they shelf certain sizes or not. Doesn't matter to me. Got what I needed as soon as I wanted it.
Can we do anything to make your job easier next time?
Not really. I mean, it wasn't a struggle to deal with the company or the product or the installation or anything. I mean, it was really a pretty flawless thing. Even the installer, he had no issues with them.
The only struggle I had was getting the crate open.
Oh, yeah. The crate was a little hard to get open, but let's not get too hard on it, Austin.
But that's not really negative.
But, they were well packed. I didn't have any damage coming from east to west coast, or west coast to east, I'm sorry. And, I mean, I haven't had any really issues all the way around. It definitely, we are going to circulate these throughout the company, because we do a lot of high-end work like this, and we plan on using the product again.
How often do you hear from BAUCO? Not enough? Just right? or too often?
I think right now it'd be just right. I mean, we've only known about them for 4 months. And so far, I haven't gotten a spam folder full of emails, and yet they check in. I think I've gotten one email from them asking if there's anything more we can do, or how did your product work out, or whatever. And I would say just enough contact to not be one of those. Oh, I don't need that right now, or filling up my spam box.
If you could give BAUCO some advice, what would it be?
I don't know. I think they've done a really good job all the way around. I don't know how much more they can improve. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's working.